Let's bring the February 22nd meeting of the Council of the City of Nevada City Council
Well done.
to order. Good evening and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting to order. Today is, well, I just did that. It's 6:30. Would you do the land recognition, Your Highness?
Happy to. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you. All right, if everybody would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Amy is substituting for our clerk today, a deputy clerk. Thank you. Could you do the roll call? Our attorney, Dean Pucci, is joining us by Zoom this evening.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Good evening, Council.
Councilmember Ceci.
Here.
Councilmember Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Here.
Mayor Fleming.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. All right, so now is the time to adopt the agenda. Excuse me. If there are any modifications, if anybody would like to pull any consent items, please let me know. Any recusals? I'm going to pull the police report because the chief just walked in. But other than that, is there anybody who wants to make any?
Are you really pulling it, or were you just messing?
No, I just want to talk about broken windows for a second. No, I wouldn't do that. First, I would request that the council move business item 18, the Chamber of Commerce events, to the first item before presentations to accommodate the schedule of the presenters and guests. I know. We'll wait. I am looking for a motion to adopt the agenda with the modification.
I move we adopt the agenda with the modification.
Second.
First by Adams, second by Lou. Thank you both. And this business is, well, I guess we can't do that, right? So we're going to go ahead with the presentations.
So,
Oh, sorry, we got to vote. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Oh, Councilmember Ceci.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
Thank you, yes. All right. Why don't we go ahead and do the pasty toss presentation, since we have Mr. Kaiser here from Grass Valley. Thank you, Tim Kaiser from Grass Valley, everybody.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm here on behalf of our mayor, who unfortunately could not make it, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But as you may know, the city of Grass Valley holds an annual pasty toss, and we come usually to challenge mayor for mayor, city manager to city manager, and if the police chief would honor us to come down and challenge Alex also, that would be, a great event. The pasty toss will take place on March 4th, which is a Saturday, and it will start at 9:30. And we would love to put the challenge forth to the mayor, to challenge our mayor. She would love to have been here. She says she's at a League of Cities meeting, but supposedly her plane ticket showed Scottsdale, Arizona. So she may be working out with the Giants, getting that pasty arm in shape for this contest, because we take it very, very seriously in Grass Valley on this great Cornish event, and we'll have some great guests.
Very exciting tradition, and I certainly accept on behalf of myself, because I can do that.
and I accept with the caveat that we agreed to, I think, between the mayors, the city managers, and the police chiefs, that the loser would shave their head, which happens to be great for Doug, myself, and
Yep,
Chief Foss.
we love
Alex
that.
will have no problem representing the city on that issue.
Can I ask you a question? How much does the pasty weigh? Because I'm gonna practice, and I need to,
Unfortunately, every year they're cooked special.
oh, wow.
And, you know, we encourage people to bring their dogs because the pasties will actually be filled with dog food and they're given to the dogs afterwards. And there will also be actually a pasty baking contest for those that are interested in participating in creating the traditional pasty.
Okay, how far, what's the distance from,
It's all secret, super secret.
you can't give us
We
that?
can't share because we don't want to create an unfair advantage. Just because Jan has a practice course at home, you know.
Well, I'm gonna talk to our former mayor who's here and get some tips.
Yeah, he beat us a couple times, I think, so.
7.2, see? Okay. Well, thank you, Tim.
you.
We
That was
appreciate
last
the
year's
challenge
weight.
and duly accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Drive safe in the no snow.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Promise no snow.
Well, he said he'd keep the streets clean, so he's ahead of the game right now. All right, so why don't we go to the parking study survey briefing from TJKM and Brian. I'm way too happy.
I'll just make the introductions.
Thank you.
So tonight, we're joined by Mark Doughty and Deviani with TJKM and their transportation planning consulting firm, who's helping us with the parking study. And so we've been working with them. They're collecting data, we're conducting a survey, and they're going to talk about where we're at and where we're headed with the study.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Either or.
In the hot seat.
Yeah,
Can we get another chair
yeah.
up here? Yeah, O'Brien's got it.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Mark Doty. I'm with TJKM. This is Deviani Padupri. She's also with TJKM. We're here tonight to give you an update on our downtown and Seven Hills Business District parking study.
Do you guys mind a little closer to the mic, just so folks at home can hear you? Sweet, thanks.
Is that better? Does this need to be on?
Yeah.
Do we need to press that?
Yeah, it was on.
Oh, it was on. Okay. Do I have control of the presentation?
I don't think you do there. I think you might have to.
Okay. Next slide, please. So again, the goal of the presentation, give you an overview of what the parking study is about, what it's going to cover, the current status of the project, what we have done so far, what we were doing here today. We've already seen some of the council members today, which has been great. Give you a next steps, and then give you any questions, comments. I know we want to do this pretty quickly, so if there's anything off the top of your head you'd like to share with us, please do so at that time. So the project background information, we want to analyze your existing parking both in the downtown area and in the Seven Hills Business District. We want to collect the data, the parking counts. We're reviewing those currently with the city to make sure that they are correct and the way the city would like to have them presented. We want to make sure they're consistent with your existing parking laws here in Nevada City and with any other parking studies and plans. And then want to consider, what existing parking demand and future development there is in downtown Nevada City and the Seven Hills, what those impacts may be for parking in the future. And then obviously we want to align with the goals of not only the elected officials, but with the citizens, anybody that comes to visit Nevada City. We just want to make sure that those align, if possible, try to make as many people happy, which may not be possible, but we'll try. Next slide. So the project location, obviously, most of you are familiar with downtown Nevada City, and then the Seven Hills parking study. On the next slide, we focus mainly on, Zion Street, Argyle Way, the areas around the shopping centers that are there currently. So what we have done so far is where we are now with the project, if you want to go to the next slide, is our parking counts were collected on December the 2nd and the 3rd, which was a Friday and Saturday right before Victorian Christmas. We hired a parking data collection company to come in and do those. They collected starting about 11 a.m. in the morning to about 9 p.m. in the evening every couple of hours. So we have some really good data for those 2 days. We've analyzed that data. We are coordinating with the city staff. Brian's been great and his group to see if everything's kind of lining up with what we see on the ground. Obviously, our us being here today, we were able to walk around before the weather turned to kind of also make sure that what we were seeing in the counts lined up as well with what is actually here. We do have a project website, which is live. We'll go over that in just a minute, nevadacityparkingstudy.com. Most importantly, we wanted to share was the survey link that is part of that. We want to make sure that people, as many people as possible, residents, visitors, whoever come into Nevada City, both downtown and Seven Hills, take the survey to give us a better understanding of some of the issues that they face whenever they do come to those parking areas. We are working on the parking supply and analysis draft memo currently, and then obviously we're here today with our first stakeholder meetings, which have been very productive. We met with the Downtown Merchant Group today, earlier this morning. The Chamber of Commerce has been very helpful with putting us in touch with some other merchants that wanted to share their views as well. We met with the Infrastructure Committee earlier this evening, and then we will meet with the Seven Hills Business Group next week as well to talk to them about the project. So the next slide, your existing parking restrictions as they are currently, again, we will be modifying these based on what we kind of saw today and what the city has provided to us as well. And in the next slide, again, the same for the Seven Hills Business District. And then, again, the project website is live, nevadacityparkingstudy.com. This is where you can go learn about the project. We will be posting updates anytime we do have any information that is available for public review. We'll post that on that as well for people to comment on. If you go to the next slide, probably the two most important things are taking the survey. There is a place for people to click on it. You go through a series of questions that will kind of guide and direct you through that, whether you live, or work in downtown or in Seven Hills. If you're just a resident of Nevada City, if you ride your bike, we have a series of questions about that. If you're an employer or an employee, we have a series of questions about that. So hopefully we'll get a really good cross-section of feedback from a wide swath of the community that does actually utilize parking in both these two areas. And if you don't want to take the survey because it may be too long, you can always, if you go to the next slide, you can always just send us an email or provide feedback that way as well.
I haven't looked at the survey yet. How long is it?
Well, apparently there's 88 questions on it, but you don't have to answer all 88. Again, it depends on if you answer you're a resident of Nevada, if you own a business in downtown Nevada City, that sends you to another set of questions. Sure. We did try to keep it to where it's not too onerous or cumbersome for people, because we don't want them to get up midway through the survey. But we're going to make sure that our paths and the way that people kind of navigate it are a little bit better. We have gotten some feedback that it's maybe not working as well as we would like for it to be as user-friendly as it could or should be. So hopefully don't answer all 88 questions because you're not supposed to. So if you do, please let us know because something has gone wrong with it. So next slide. So the next steps, again, we're here today to confirm the parking data with the city. Devyani will be working on the literature and existing policy review. Again, what is here now? Is there anything that we can maybe improve upon in your current existing ordinances? Continue collecting feedback probably for another month or so. We want to make sure that we get plenty of time for people to do that. It's really only started to gain traction probably within the last couple weeks or so. We've had over 260 responses so far, so that's really good. For a community this size, so we're hoping to increase that as well. We've already started to kind of drafting some, recommendations that we think. We're kind of hearing some of the same things over and over again from people. And so once we get those recommendations, we'll put the draft report together, and obviously that will be available for review by the council and any other interested citizen, commission, et cetera. We'll make sure it runs through all of that. So with that, questions, comments, concerns?
Sure. Do we have to open this up for public comment? This is a presentation. What's the ruling on that?
Yeah, it's not an agendized item, so it's really just intention to present it and share that the parking survey is out there. They will be back in front of the Infrastructure Committee and ultimately to the council for the draft document. But you're welcome to, ask questions or see if.
Yeah, so I'm
the-
going to bring it to the table and see if anybody has any comments. Gary?
Yes, Councilmember Ceci and I received a more in-depth briefing earlier tonight, and a lot of confirmation that the study's moving in the right direction, is going to deliver the information that we need. So it was very helpful to hear that. The drafts will be coming back, but I think we're in good shape with the study, and I really appreciate the work and bringing it forward.
Excellent. You got the Gary Peterson stamp of approval. That's pretty good.
So
Pretty good.
far.
Doesn't, so far, exactly.
He also got the Miriam Morris stamp
what?
of approval.
You guys are doing something right. Anybody else at the table? Lou, would you, Daniela, go right ahead.
Yeah, another question about the number of questions. Are you guys able to look at analytics to see, are there a number of people that have started taking the survey and have not completed it? I'm just thinking younger audiences, even if it's 50 questions on average that a person answers, you said there's 88, that's a lot of questions. And attention spans are short, and I think that we could potentially miss a really important demographic in that way.
The completion rate is about 78%.
Okay.
And
So
we
that's
have
our
like
that's our
four-
young population.
We have 4 categories, so we've given them a choice whether they want to take a survey specific to Nevada City, downtown, Seven Hills Business District, both, or if they're just residents in the neighborhood and they just want to answer questions related to that.
Okay.
So the total of all those 4 come up to 88. It's not each of them would be answering 88. And we're giving them an option. If they want to do both, then they'll have a lot of questions to answer.
Sure.
So if they've chosen that, that's the only way they would be answering all of it. And if
So
they're
each section's averaging
around
20, 30,
20
okay.
questions. And then they've been asked whether they're business owners or employees, and then they have a particular set of questions that if only they choose that, then they answer.
Great. Thank you for breaking that down.
Makes sense. Lou, you got anything?
No, just that I'm glad that we're going to be finally having some solid data on which to base our
Data.
our policies, yes. And when I took it, I answered, I think, 40 questions.
Did you answer both?
Yes, because I have residents from which I run my business in the Seven Hills District, and
There you
a
go.
lot of business down here.
There you go.
How much have you internalized what you've already got? Could I ask you questions about what people are saying so far?
Sure. I mean, I think everybody thinks parking's a problem.
Of course.
Is it? Exactly.
That's the question.
You know, I think we're going to have really good discussions and thinking about what to do with employees, I think, because there's a lot of concern of where they should and could park. And so I think there's some options that we might have for that. I think a lot of it also is there may be parking that's available, it's just people don't know about it. And so if they're willing to walk maybe another block or so, there's plenty of options. I think our kind of preliminary analysis we've already done is that your main core, Commercial and Broad Street, those stay pretty full throughout most of the day. But if you go 1 or 2 blocks kind of outside that, there's still plenty of parking. And so
Just in front of people's homes.
well, and that was why the city wanted us to include the areas, the residential neighborhoods as well. There are, we're working with the chamber also considering, special events. Is there, an option, some kind of a shuttle service? Not only for special events, but maybe just on the weekends or maybe on certain days during the week. So I think there's a lot of options that, we'll provide those recommendations, and then it's up to the council, and the community obviously to kind of pick and choose what they think will work. As I mentioned earlier in the infrastructure committee meeting, it's kind of we see the recommendations as a choose your own adventure. So it's not like these are what you have to do. This is what you could do. We're big proponents of trial basis, hey, let's install new meters or electronic meters on Broad Street so that we see how those are utilized and how those work out. We can do that for a 6-month period. Well, they didn't work out, so let's go back to maybe something else. Or they worked great, so then let's expand it to Commercial or Pine or some other streets as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity to, utilize existing city property improvements to provide parking overflow or extra parking immediately for the community. So what our recommendations will be are, short-term, midterm, and then long-term. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of cover enough things that, people will feel comfortable with them.
Adam?
Have you had, do you know offhand if you've had a lot of people who, and there's not many places, but there are places right downtown. I lived in an apartment on Commercial Street for over a decade, so I mean, I've told the story before about my roommate who ended up paying more in parking tickets than he did in rent. That's his problem. He worked late, sleep in, there'd be a new ticket, that kind of, and that's when tickets were cheap. Did you hear from folks in that situation? I know people have talked to me about what if there was a sticker for like downtown locals or a placard, that sort of thing.
So one of the things are, if we do an employee or resident parking program of where they put a placard, they have something, they pay a nominal fee or whatever. Again, that would be decided by, the council or, the city. And they could just hang something in their car and they'd be able to park, or utilize the space at a certain time. I think, again, that's something that will just, the devils are always in the details, obviously. And so, but I think that's definitely a recommendation that we probably will take a look at. Because we kept hearing it over, not necessarily on the resident side, but definitely on the employee side as well. So, and, with employees, we want to make sure that the ones that are especially, working later hours, that they feel safe if they have to park, further away than what they would like to, that there's, that they have that safety factor that comes into it as well. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Do you have a perception of, the impact of our parking lots? Are they full frequently? I'm not talking about the street parking, but the parking lots. And the ones that people don't know about. I mean, is the one over the vet center, that's full a lot of the time. What about and the one behind the National is full a lot too.
Right.
And then there's the one sort of the dirt.
Nevada Street's full.
Yeah, yeah. And then what about the one that's down, that's dirt, Clark Street, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, again, we were able to learn more about some of those opportunities. And so we're still kind of crunching some of the numbers. Your parking lots stay full, but there's not a capacity. The one behind the National is at capacity, but I think that's also because of, the hotel utilizes that.
Yeah.
And then the one, obviously, that's the private parking only, that's attached to the, to the courthouse, that's obviously full all the time. I think one of the opportunities that we have is maybe, some sort of a partnership where after hours, the city then, people could park, in those locations, not have to worry about getting tickets. And so that's something, again, probably a recommendation from us is something like that, so.
Great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the work, and we look forward to hearing the next incarnation of this study.
Everybody's
Lot more
been
to come.
really nice to us and very honest. We really appreciate it, and we are glad to be here. Well,
You
true.
haven't said no.
That's true, yeah.
What is if there's one concern that's overarching from everybody, what would you say that is? I mean, distance to walk, or,
I think they just don't think that there's enough parking, period.
and that's a conceptual thing?
That is a perception.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that is a universal perception. It's not
universal.
unique to Nevada City at all. It's everybody, they want to park right in front
Yeah,
of their
that's right.
spot, so, where they're going, but.
One last question. So you say, we like to try different things, which is great, trial and error. But you would put in, new, parking meters, you can't really just remove them. So if the parking meters go in, they're probably going to stay, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But again, if you did it, I guess more of the trial and error with that would be, we were not going to expand that to any other areas of downtown. We're just going to keep it here. We've made that investment. We'll wait to see if they catch on to justify then spreading it out.
Oh, I
You don't
see.
want to do it to the entire downtown area because that may not be feasible economically or it just may not be feasible. But if you do in a block, a 2-block stretch of Commercial Street, then, and it's successful, people like it, then you can start, rolling it out to Broad Street and then other, avenues as well.
Makes sense. I'm sure you heard about some of the concerns that the public raised last time we tried to raise parking meter rates.
We were not provided with that information, but I could probably assume that people did not appreciate that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And we would not Part of our recommendations would not be to advocate to raise rates. It is simply, that is a local issue, that is something for y'all to solve on your own. Ours are recommendations only.
That's
It's
smart.
not to say it should, you have to raise it to $1. That's not for us to say, but
That's our job.
exactly.
Well, we really appreciate it. If there are not any more questions, we'll let you guys go on with your evening. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're driving back to Sacramento tonight because we don't want to get stuck in the storm.
Yeah, you
So-
gotta get out of here.
That's
Exactly.
smart.
Thank you all so much.
That's right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Government Code, Section 54.
Sorry, Mayor, if we could jump into
Oh,
item
sorry,
18.
The other presentation, right? Or-
If, with your permission, you moved my item 18, the special events for the chamber up to the front. So this is the annual request from the chamber. We have some old events, some new events, and some returning events. And I will turn it over to Lynn from the chamber, but in consideration of one of the people in the audience, if she could jump to the returning event, the classic, and just in case the council has any questions specific to that one, and then we can let that unnamed former mayor go to his next meeting in Grass Valley, as it were.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Lynn.
Thanks for having me tonight. So hopefully you guys all have all the information in front of you, but I'll just kind of walk through it. And so, yeah, we can jump to the Nevada City Classic. And Dwayne is here to answer any questions if you do have questions, but I know a lot of us thought that the Classic was not coming back, and we have decided to give it a go for the 60th anniversary this year. So we're looking at June 11th.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, so we're really excited to bring it back. Like I mentioned, it is the 60th anniversary. A couple things to note is that Dwayne has been working hard and has been in contact with Bike Monkey. They're a professional bike race company, that's what they do. So they are on board to help organize it, which I think will be a really great asset for the event. And they also do the Heart of Gold gravel ride here that takes place starting at the Rood Center. So they're familiar with the area and are, I think they'll be a great asset for the event in that regard. So do you guys have any questions about that specifically, or?
Yeah, I want to know, I mean, obviously this has been a signature event for the city, from Wayne's long history, and it's fallen off a little bit. And that's not a criticism, it's just an observation, bike racing is not as exciting as it used to be with Lance and all those people. Is there a plan to drive, besides Bike Monkey, which I think is a great plan, and maybe that's the answer, to, try to attract more crowds and to do more, I don't know that more is needed, but what is the new approach? How about that?
Yeah, and I'd say that Dwayne can maybe help answer that too, but we'll definitely be utilizing social media more than in the past and really working to promote it that way. But I do think Bike Monkey, because they do numerous races, they already have an email list of bicyclists. And so I think that's a really helpful thing, is that they have direct contact with a lot of people who could participate. So I think that'll be an asset, but Dwayne could probably speak more to it.
So throw the question at me clearly, I'm
Just,
sorry.
what are we doing to increase our attendance, just with the
Yeah.
fact that people have fallen off?
So this has been a catch-22 forever. And again, you guys have heard me before, where I always felt if we had one spectator, it was still worth doing because of the exposure we got that our city and the chamber doesn't have the money to advertise, as far as big magazines, big newspapers that have covered us, TV coverage. But that's not the point. We want people here, obviously. Being part of this sport, being somebody that used to race this, the paradigm shift that we saw when we started losing some of the crowd counts is when all the top pro Americans for the first time ever started going to Europe. They always came to this race, so we had an automatic draw all over the West Coast, if not kind of the Midwest out. Oregon, Southern California, Arizona would come up to our race. Those racers now, because of our date proximity to the Tour de France, are already over in Europe prepping. So we can't get the top 20 biggest American names here anymore. I used to still land 3 or 4, but that was because we had a little gap, and I would have to raise money to fly them here, put them up. Shelley Olds, top 3 in the world a few years ago. Her mom lives in the Bay Area, so we agreed to fly her here to see her mom. She came up, won our race, and was in Europe 2 days later.
Wow.
So it's a struggle. Before it was automatic. They would show up to Nevada City. They had to get the points, the prestige.
Yep.
So really, I'm not a big marketing guy that, was hard enough to run a race. So to me, the only reason this is worth trying again is because of the offer from an outside promotional firm. The guys that are coming in have worked with Bike Monkey, Heart of Gold in 2 years, quadrupled its size. So I need people that can really go out and do the marketing for us, where it's hard enough for me year-round just to raise some money to put this on and do the logistics of the course. You know, work with Brian and Shane next week to walk the course and fix the asphalt so we don't have crashes, that type of thing. So to me, it was worth stepping back in when we got the call, and kind of we have a big reinvigorated interest in the race. People don't realize what they miss until they lose something, and suddenly the whole Bay Area, the Portland cycling scene, they're swamping our website, which I haven't touched in 3 years. I haven't posted anything.
Wow.
Because there was nothing to post. We had the permits in place, a year ago, and then the construction, all the streets were torn up. PG&E couldn't promise they would have it ready. And so we, again, pulled the plug before we ever came. I was still with you guys.
Yep.
But before it ever came in front of the council, we were ready to go. We had a lot of waste management. Everybody stepped up and was willing to do it again. But to your question of getting the crowds, to me, this is kind of a litmus test. And it's either going to be reinvigorated, we're going to get a good crowd, or we're going to pull off the 60th, and then most likely it's done. I think that's going to be our choice. It's either going to prove itself, or we'll pull off the 60th and we'll thank it for what it did for the city for 60 years, and we'll, depending on the chamber and their choice with the council, we'll probably walk away from it. I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Yeah, we hope that's not the case.
Me too.
And as a city, we'll do what we can, to promote it and work with the chamber and you and to get that out there. I think it's an amazing, I don't think it should go away. It's too new Nevada City, it'll come back. Cycling is still pretty rampant. And post-COVID, we've seen some attendance at some of these events that is just crazy, like Mardi Gras. I mean, you saw how many people came to Mardi Gras. So I hope we'll help you. I'm so excited that you guys are doing it. Thank you both. Anybody have any questions, comments?
You asked what I was going to ask.
Okay.
I'll just keep mentioning that I used to live on Commercial Street, but I didn't follow the sport, but when the races were big, it was exciting, and town was packed, and it seemed like this is a super successful event, and then I just watched it dwindle, and I never knew why, and then you just explained it very clearly.
When I used to race it, their best guess, there was no technology to count it, but just looking at the streets in general, that's one of the reasons our teams came here to Nevada City. One of the reasons I'm back here, other than marrying a Grass Valley woman, my wife, that brought me back to the area. But the race here was huge because nobody else had the crowds, period. And they used to figure 10 to 15,000. You hear numbers all over the place, but a best guess was 10 to 15.
Wow.
We have 2 Google employees here in town, luckily, that have been fortunate to work with us over the years. So we had access to something called Google Headcount, which is typically only available apparently to law enforcement, public safety, military. So it gives you a live count that day the best they can. You can't see through a building or through a tree. But for example, in '09, when I brought Armstrong back out with, Chris Horner, Levi Leipheimer, and we had those names. So that shows you, again, those names. Google Headcount showed that we had about 37,000 people in town. What? That's what led the next year, and that's countable bodies. And then the next year, that's what led to us landing the first year with Amgen. Mm-hmm. Google Headcount showed about 31,000 for that first year, and then we got it again, and it was 32. Then we had a couple-year gap, and the third time we got it, it was back up to about 38. And the second one was low because we got them from Truckee. We took the snow with no warning, midnight. But we were drawn in the 30,000 range, which is bigger than it ever was before, but it's only because we had the best names in the world showing up on our streets. Yeah. The only people that are going to show up now to watch the race are locals, and then the hardest core cycling fans from up and down the West Coast that know the regional American racers, because our other names are going to be gone. We have 3 of the best in the world out of the Sacramento region. They're going to be in France. They won't be here. We can't get them. So anyway, there's no magic wand that we can wave to bring 10,000 people back again. It's either going to happen naturally and build up, or it's not. And then you guys have to decide if 2,000 or 3,000 is still a good turnout, which the top races in the U.S. right now, set Nevada City aside before pre-COVID, and set Amgen, that was a unique thing, Tour of California, are drawing about 4,000 to 6,000 people. Those are considered the healthiest, biggest races. And we're one of only about a dozen now that actually still runs in the town
limits and shuts the town down. Everybody has moved out to business parks.
Sure,
You know, nobody shuts their town down. They don't have the backdrop we have.
yeah.
Or a
It's
cooperative city staff and city council over the years that's willing to shut the streets down, and a chamber, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dwayne. Thanks for all the good work over the years and keeping it going. Lynn, thank you as well. We appreciate it. We're going to do whatever we can to help.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Lynn, you
I
got the rest of
do,
your, you got the
yeah.
rest
So
of
the
your.
rest of it.
So any other
Could I-
comments? You guys are good?
Thank you,
Okay,
thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Sorry, Lynn.
So
I-
I'll flip back kind of to the beginning. So this year we have included in the packet a flag calendar for the year and who is responsible for what flags. So we can take a look at that, but pretty similar to years past. So we have the different organizations listed. Do you guys have any questions about the flag piece at all? Yes.
Do the pride flags stay up during Flag Day?
So at this point, what we have decided, based on what happened last year, is that the pride flags will come down, and we've been working with the Nevada County Pride Group, and they have agreed to take the flags down during Flag Day and then put them back up the next day and put up the US flags. We did very intentionally for Wild and Scenic, leave the Wild and Scenic flags up and put the American flags in the middle to see if we had any feedback on that. And we didn't. I don't know if the city
Funny.
received any feedback. So that was a little test on our end.
We
so-
did get negative feedback on that.
You did?
yes.
Okay.
How much negative feedback?
Same people.
Yes, same people. No positive feedback, only negative feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Seriously, how much?
7.
Okay.
Okay.
As opposed to last year?
Probably 25 or 30 negative and more like 100 positive.
Got it.
And we will take credibility too that we did not have Flag Day on our calendar last year, so we didn't get the flags up till noon. So I think that was also part of it, that the US flags didn't go up until about noon last year. So that was a piece of it as well. So that was our little test just to see. So it's good to know that there was some feedback on it. So those are the flag dates. So that is the plan right now, is to take them down for this year, and then we can explore it moving forward, what makes the most sense. And
Excellent.
But other than that, we do plan to have the flags up for the whole month, just with that little break there.
Great.
So, yeah. And then the first event I have included here is our Town Beautification Day, which is April 6th. So for starters, you're all invited to come join us and help beautify the town. This is our annual cleanup day. We work really closely with Public Works to identify projects that need to be done around the area, as well as Miriam Morris, and we're doing some work all around. So that's April 6th this year.
6.
And then in April 23rd, we have our second annual Earth Fest event. And we had so much success with it last year. We did the same footprint as the farmer's market last year. And being our first year, we sold out of vendor spaces. We actually had 15 vendors on our waiting list. It was so well received. So this year we've decided to move it to Broad Street. So we'd like to use Broad and Pine. And we already have received a ton of positive feedback from vendors for this year. We're getting a lot of people wanting to reach out and partner. We're partnering with the Climate Action Now group locally, and we'll be offering an electric vehicle car show. We have a rock climbing wall in partnership with Gold Crush Climbing Gym. It's going to be a really fun event, so we're very excited for that and to expand it. And
So cleanup day is the 6th.
Yes, cleanup day is
Thursday.
the 6th. Yep.
Painting curbs and so forth.
Painting curbs, pulling weeds, removing graffiti, all the fun stuff.
What time should we be wherever we're supposed to be?
It says
That starts at 8 o'clock. Yeah, and we'll meet in the plaza in front of the office and divide up from there.
Excellent.
Yeah. And then on May 28th, so that'll be Memorial Day weekend, we have our annual Village Market Day, but it's a little different this year. This one it's chamber sponsored, but hosted by the merchants. So they always plan and implement this event themselves. And they got a lot of feedback from other merchants this year that they wanted to take the emphasis off of vendors and put it more on being a traditional sidewalk sale. So that's the plan this year. There won't be any street closures included with it, but just merchants will be setting up down on the street and selling off the end of the season stuff.
Is that more for the local merchants as opposed to vendors who come in and populate
Exactly,
the street? So we
yeah.
can keep the money local and.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that
That's
was a lot
nice.
of feedback we had from the
I bet,
downtown
I
businesses,
bet.
was to keep it local. A lot of our other events focus on vendors,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
so I think it makes sense there.
Oh, definitely. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What else?
And then the next one is the Pride flag raising. So this is really not actually a chamber event. We're just supporting it. So we're including it in the packet, and so that will be June 1st and on York Street again, and Daniela and Lou are helping to sponsor it as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, excited about that. First Friday Art Walks are coming back. A couple of minor changes there. We're removing the Labor Day weekend Art Walk this year. It was really low turnout last year because between Burning Man and Dry Diggins and just being Labor Day weekend, a lot of people are already occupied. So we cut it back to 3 art walks this year. And the other small changes, we were doing 5 to 9 o'clock. No one came from 5 to 6 because it's just too hot out. So we're going to start at 6 o'clock this year.
Nice.
Yeah, and then a new event, this one we're really excited about. We were planning on doing a Seven Hills event, and then when the opportunity to do the bike race came up, they were actually looking at the same weekend that we had planned for Seven Hills, and so we decided to add on to the bike race, and our first Seven Hills event that we'll be doing will be a Brews and Bikes event.
Yeah.
So we'll have a brew fest, and we'll bring out, we have a lot of great businesses in Seven Hills that really appeal to that. We have 2 bike shops, we have Rybald and Jernigan's, plus we have other breweries in Nevada City, so we're really excited to bring our first Seven Hills event this year, and so that'll be the night before the bike race, sort of a pre-party.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, we were actually really excited when the bike race opportunity came up because we didn't have a lot of direction for the Seven Hills event, and it gave us a really good direction to go with, so I think it'll be a really good.
Are we closing off Argyle?
Initially, we were looking at that, but we decided for the first time we're going to just do the private parking lots, so there won't be any street closures.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in this.
Yeah,
And
exactly. There's a lot of room there. so.
Republic did, events there all the time, so,
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good example. So we plan to use that parking lot, and then probably to use Jernigan's and the Onyx parking lot as well. And then we would just have crosswalk monitors to make sure it's safe to cross the street there. So that's our
Awesome.
plan.
And behind Elevation, there's tons of space
Yeah.
back there, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. So we'll see kind of how it's still unfolding for that event, exactly how many vendors and things like that. But I think it'll be a really good event.
That's awesome.
for it.
That's so
Yeah.
exciting to have something in
Yeah.
Seven Hills.
Yeah, super exciting. And then summer nights, same as in the past, the last 3 Wednesdays in July, same footprint, no changes there. Same with Constitution Day, and again, that one's a partnership between us, the city, and the Masonic Lodge, and so all 3 activities are the same. We have the concert, the parade, and the reenactments at Pioneer Park. So those are all happening. One of our focuses this year is really going to be to build the attendance on this and to really kind of reframe the event. It's definitely the smallest attendance we have out of any of our events throughout the year. And I think it kind of maybe has a little bit of an outdated stigma to it. So we're going to really work on sort of rebranding it because it's actually a really fun parade with the marching presidents and things like that. There's some really fun things. So we're hoping to really build that event up this year.
Presidents aren't hot right now.
Yeah, exactly. But the marching presidents are hilarious and fun.
Yes, we are, right, Adam?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and unique. It's who else has a group of presidents marching down
It's
their
like the only one, right? And certainly on the
Yeah.
West Coast.
Yeah, very Nevada City for sure. Yeah. And then the Halloween Safe Trick or Treat, we did that for the first time last year, so we are bringing that back this year. It was a great success last year, and we partnered with the county, and so, so we're excited to bring
What
that
time
back.
is that? I saw it was 5 to S, so.
We're doing 3 to 5, actually.
So it was 3 to, I couldn't tell from
Oh, yeah.
the typo.
Yeah, so 3
3
to 5 o'clock, yep.
Okay.
For that one, and so, so we figured that's kind of good timing, gearing it towards the younger kids, and then after 5, the older kids will head up to the residential
It gets
neighborhoods,
crazy,
and,
yeah. Hide the women and children and,
Victorian Christmas, same as last year. One thing to note there is we were looking at, in the past, it's been a couple of years, so the last 2 years we've done it this way, but in the past, it was the 3 Sundays leading up to Christmas and then the 2 Wednesdays closest to Christmas, but then that left a gap where you'd have a Sunday and a Sunday without a Wednesday in between, which could be confusing. We actually put out a survey to all of our merchants and vendors to see if they wanted to go back to the old format or stick with the way we've been doing it. It was actually a pretty contested issue, but we decided to stick with the way we're doing it so that it's consistent where it goes Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. So so that's the plan for this year. This one we're just including this year because we work with them, but the Hanukkah celebration, which takes place in the plaza and on Union Street right near our office, so just so you guys have that on your radar. It's pretty much the same. They are moving it up an hour compared to last year, so an hour earlier, but the street closure times will be smaller than it was in the past.
I have a question or a suggestion about that event. The last couple of years, the sound has been not a great sound system. Can we work on getting better sound out there for them?
Yeah,
I don't know
so we
who does
can-
the sound
So
system.
we have a small sound system that we let them use for that event. It's a very small one that we typically use for meetings. It's not really a great one, and so we let them borrow that since they don't have a sound system. And so I can definitely make that suggestion to them, because we unfortunately have our really tiny one, and then we have our massive parade sound system, and we don't really have anything in between, which would be the right size. And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can sort of put that call out, if they can put that call out to the community. And
Yeah.
there might be something in between someone's willing to.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll
Offer.
definitely mention that to them and
Yeah.
see if we can find
That's a
something.
good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's a lovely event, but you can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah.
have the world's largest.
And it's an important event, yeah.
Yeah.
They did have
it
the
is.
world's largest dreidel. That was awesome.
And the
Yeah.
chamber's been very gracious in,
Letting
it wasn't a demand, but a very strong request that, because we kind of lost track of that event. We lost track of Chinese New Year, and by we, I mean collectively the community. And so the chamber's been very gracious to include all of those dates and the planning in their packet. They won't be responsible for the insurance or any of the applied materials as they go forward, but they're putting in their packet so that we make sure that we don't lose track of those things as they go forward. So really kudos to the chamber for picking all those up, and Seven Hills event as well, which they had to do under the contract you agreed to give them money for. But
We're excited for it. We're looking forward.
It wasn't strong arm.
And then moving into 2024, we always include our February events because December's just too crazy to get event applications in. So Mardi Gras 2024, the big change there is that it's going to be on Saturday next year, which is because it falls on Super Bowl
Super
Sunday.
Bowl.
So it's always historically been on a Sunday. We looked at possibly doing a different weekend, but Wild and Scenic will be the weekend after, Chinese New Year's the weekend after that, so there really wasn't a great date to move it to, so we decided to move it to Saturday instead.
Own that date, own that date.
Yeah,
People will
yeah.
come for Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
sure
you
they
have to
will.
worry
It's
about
probably
that.
actually better because then they don't have to go to work the next morning.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
They don't have to call off work the next
Yeah,
morning.
Exactly. And then Chinese New Year, again, like Sean mentioned, it's not our event, but we've been working with CATS on it, and so we're very excited it's coming back because it has been a few years with the pandemic, and so that'll be back in 2024, and yeah, it'll start at the Plaza and end at the Miners Foundry, and they do, just so you guys note that on here, they have requested, it happened the last time they held it for the first time, a police escort, because Commercial Street will be closed, but then they move on to Broad, which is open, and down Bridge Street. And so they are hoping to have a police escort just to close vehicles for just a few minutes as they work their way down from there. It's a much smaller parade than the others, only about 10 to 15 units are in it in comparison to
Dragon,
our
right?
other ones. Yeah, the Dragons and
Yeah.
the Lions will be there, and there will be the after party at the Miners Foundry. It should be a really fun day. So those are all of the events for the year. Any questions about that?
Anyone? Anyone? Bueller?
I have a comment.
Oh, there you go.
I was just going to say, I've done a whole lot of events in my life, Lynn. You are so good at this. I absolutely admire your skills and ability at doing this. You're out there, you're everywhere, you've got it in hand, you do a great job. And it makes it that much easier to approve all these when you know that somebody's running it that's going to take care of business, you know, you don't have to worry about it. So really good work, really good work.
Thank you. Yeah.
What I love is just that we get to hear all these events, and like, this is the first time I've ever understood the whole schedule of the chamber, and it's really helpful for us, because I usually find about them a week before, 2 weeks before, and to understand them all connected together and how they fit into our city is really, really important for us to
All the
know.
official parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
so public comment and then motion to approve if applicable.
All right, is there any public comment in the room for this item, or anybody in cyberspace want to talk to us about the chamber's schedule?
We do have someone in cyberspace.
Matthew. Gotta be.
Diana, you are free to address the commission.
Why isn't she here?
Good evening, City Council members. Diana Gamzon here. I'm a resident in downtown Nevada City on King Hiram Lane. And it is just really exciting to see this full, robust calendar for the upcoming year. And my question for the council and for you, Lynn, is I'm curious where the conversations have left off with a pride parade, and if that has been, if that was considered for this upcoming year. I think that a parade like that could really add to the vibrancy of our community, of our downtown. I think that it could really add to provide some economic stimulus and just be a fun event. So just curious about that potential event.
Yeah, I'll let Daniela speak to that to start. Yeah.
Is that okay? Can I comment on public comment?
Oh, yeah, because this is a topic of the, events the chamber's putting on, so.
Sure. Diana, as I'm sure you know, most parades specifically geared towards marginalized communities, it's really important for the community themselves to be the leaders of that effort. And I think this year there was a really good effort at pulling interested folks in on the conversation and on the planning. And so this year, there will be a robust Pride calendar that goes out through Nevada County Pride. And the group that was organizing didn't feel like they had it in them to pull off a parade this year. I'm hoping that changes next year for sure. But there will be a robust Pride calendar for the month of June, and a couple of Pride events that actually trickle into August as well. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, Diana, for the feedback. I agree. I can't wait for a Pride parade.
Yeah, and I'll just add that I agree and we fully support it and would love to do it in the future. But we did let Nevada County Pride kind of make the decision on what they wanted to do. But we hope maybe in the future we can help co-host something.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Diana, do you have anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm looking for a motion to approve the Chamber of Commerce event agenda.
I move that we approve the Chamber of Commerce event agenda for the next 12 months.
Second.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now I'm going to go to public comment.
Yes, right back to the top of the agenda.
Wow. All right, public comment.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn. And you get out early,
Government
too.
Code, Section 54-954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agendized items. Concern may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item at the time it is heard. So, do we have any public comment in the room? If not, we can check in cyberspace and
I have 2 hands up.
excellent.
Diana, you are free to address the commission. Or the council, sorry.
It's all right. We'll be a commission.
We accept it.
I believe that was my hand from earlier. I'll lower it.
Sorry. Okay.
I was excited. There were 2 people.
Theo, you are free to address the council.
Hi, this is Theo Fatanides, resident in Nevada City. Just want to say, just really appreciating the council's leadership and the management of the city. It feels really good to watch these meetings. And also, the safe trick-or-treating was fantastic, so thanks. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce. This is going to be a comment about fire and safety and tree health. No surprise there, I'm sure. I request that you keep the public safety exemption for open burning ban. There's not really any exemptions given right now, so it wouldn't change anything in the current status, but it would leave open the window for future projects to increase public safety. I personally want to save our trees and the amount of fuel buildup on the floor that's not feasibly rakeable on a lot of properties, including a lot that the city manages and owns. With that much heat generated during an adverse wind condition, which is the kind of fire we're going to get at some point, most likely, the non-suppressible kind. Suppressible fires, you know, they're suppressible and it's great and we can take care of that. But the heat generated often kills trees even after fuel thinning, which is a great technique that everybody's doing and the city's working on getting more fuel thinning. But just the leaf litter on the ground needs to get burned off, and it's sad to not be able to. I think there's a perception that Nevada City Co-Housing asks for a lot of stuff, and kind of boggles my mind on this topic because we're asking to do something for the forest and just sort of the right thing for our neighbors. And I think that other people, if they knew, they would be asking to. And I do understand that smoke is a real big concern for a lot of people's health. I hate smoke, but I don't have an asthma problem, but I know it's a really big concern, and that has to get dealt with in some kind of strategic way for this to work. Also, the open burning ban exemption would be great for biochar kilns, which I just got off a call with the Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District, and they're looking into options with that to sort of work with landowners to get those biochar kilns in operation in ways that reduce the air pollution greatly, but also take care of some of the fuels for larger landowners and put carbon back in the ground too, which is one of the big things. Also, I learned on that many of the city burn bans are actually from past PM10 management issues when there were problems with that. Like that's why Quincy doesn't have any open burning, because they're still out of compliance because of all the wood smoke from wood stoves. And so they have a burn ban completely. And I think she was indicating that that's some of the reason that cities have open burn bans, in addition with like, you can't tell what's in a burn barrel and stuff. And yeah, just really like to be able to do good forest management. And I don't want the trees to all die when the heat comes through, even if they don't torch. It just heat on the roots kills them. So we're going to try to rake away from the base of the trees, but that can only do so much. Just really can only do so much. So thanks for considering.
Thank you, Theo. Really appreciate it. Is there anybody else who would like to make public comments?
Nobody else on.
Okay. Then moving on. So we have adopted the consent agenda. Except
No, we
haven't.
set the calendar, we
Okay.
didn't, or set the agenda, we didn't adopt the consent agenda.
Okay, so why don't we just go and adopt the agenda as is? Because I didn't need to go into this. We're going long today. I had a whole bunch of stuff, but I could talk to the chief about it.
All right.
I won't rake him through the coals.
I did have one comment.
Oh, you
Just-
did?
Just one comment.
Okay.
That's all. I just wanted to acknowledge the paving contract and the work on the roads. Those are much-needed improvements. I don't see Brian in here, but
Brian's not here, but we'll pass it along.
that's a good project. I went through the bids and everything else, just geeky stuff, but that's a good project for us.
Nice, nice. I saw the dollar amount, and I was like, okay, I hope it
No,
is a good
it's
project.
good bang for your buck stuff.
It is. Well, Hanson's brother does us right, I think. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to adopt the consent agenda as is.
I move we adopt the consent agenda as is.
Second.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Cici.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
For
Councilmember
consent, no,
Peterson.
yeah, you don't.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
Yes. Okay, so we are going on to some business. Okay, so we are going to conduct a hearing on the city's fiscal year 2022-23 proposed mid-year budget by consideration of resolution number 2023-07, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, modifying fiscal year 2022-2023 budget revenue estimates and appropriations. Stephen is going to be giving us this presentation. This is some of the fruit of your first labor that we get to see, Stephen, so we're excited.
And you should be. It's a great report.
It is. It's always good when you have more money.
For the residents. Well, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the City Council. Before you this evening is the city's fiscal year 22-23 mid-year budget review. So just a brief background, and Amy, am I able to share my screen
You should be able to.
by chance? Okay. Let me do that real quick, if I can. There we go. All right. Perfect. So at the June 22nd, 2022 City Council meeting, a balanced budget for fiscal year 22-23 was adopted. The mid-year revised forecast projects fiscal year 2022 revenues to be up in basically all general fund revenue sources. Expenses are on track with adopted budget. So basically, what we're looking at here is a healthy economy, a healthy housing market, strong consumer demand that have contributed to the bottom line of the city's budget. So the budget philosophy that has been used as part of your adopted budget and as part of this mid-year review is that revenues and expenditures are balanced on a current basis, and that your CIP program has an emphasis on streets, roads, and sidewalks. So although revenues are up in many of your general fund accounts, I selected the 5 most significant revenue or resource items that are increasing. So the first is property tax. That's up about 2.1%, or roughly $32,000. And that's resulting primarily from a higher than anticipated increase in assessed valuation, supported by actual revenues received year to date. Additionally, your Measure F cannabis tax is projected to increase by 5%, or $35,000. And again, that's based upon actual revenues received to date and anticipated revenue through the balance of the fiscal year. Insurance claim proceeds. So this is a one-time revenue item. And this is a result of an insurance claim received by the city to repair and reconstruct the mill building on the Public Works Yard campus that was destroyed as a result of storm activity in December of 2021. So this amount is the initial reimbursement or disbursement from insurance related to the claim. Any additional costs related to the full replacement of the building can be acquired from the insurance company after the replacement is complete. So this is just the initial disbursement. There could be more coming in later on. Parking citations are increasing by about 17.2%, or $25,000. Again, based upon actual revenues received to date and projections through the balance of the fiscal year. So your police department is doing their job enforcing parking laws.
We have more parking spots too.
Yeah.
We got them back.
And then fire department general fund revenues are up almost $30,000. And really, that's due to a one-time fire annexation fee related to Cashin's Field. So with the increases in your general fund revenues, and those increases total $462,882. But again, part of that is the insurance claim proceeds. You have approximately about $141,000 of new ongoing revenues that you can count on going forward. Staff is requesting a couple of capital outlay items that could be funded by these new revenues, one of which is a request for the acquisition of a new mini excavator or tractor for the Public Works Department with an estimated cost of approximately $110,000. And in addition to that, staff is requesting capital outlay for the acquisition of pumps, filters, and other related equipment for the city's pool. So again, CIP proposed changes. This has to do with the insurance claim proceeds I mentioned earlier. So the mill building can be funded with these proceeds, again, 321,828. And this is to reconstruct and or repair the building from that storm activity in December 2021. So again, it's all great news. Your general fund revenues are projected to be $462,882, better than what you had adopted as part of your budget back in a few months ago. General fund appropriations are proposed to be $461,828 if you decide to take staff's recommendation this evening. As a result, the net positive effect on the general fund would be a contribution to your fund balance of slightly over $1,000. And staff is anticipating that no further supplemental appropriations will be needed for the balance of the fiscal year. I would also like to add that your special revenue funds and your enterprise funds, revenues and expenses for both of those are projected to be in line with your adopted budget. And that's why they're not really covered here in this presentation. Lastly, there is an item for future consideration, and that's related to the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA monies. So the city has received 2 distributions totaling $753,000 and change. It's anticipated that these ARPA monies will be used to offset lost revenues due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So these monies will be recognized full amount as general fund revenue, and it's anticipated that the ARPA monies will be appropriated as either part of your fiscal year 23-24 adopted budget, which is coming up here in about the next 3 to 4 months, or possibly even earlier. And it is also anticipated that these ARPA monies will address your approved strategic plan goals. So I know that was a brief presentation, but I didn't want to belabor you with a lot of technical jargon. So I'm available to answer any questions you may have. But the recommendation tonight is that you adopt resolution number 2023-07, containing all the adjustments in exhibits 1 and 2 that are attached to said resolution. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate it. We're going to go out to public comment in the room, if there is any, and then we're going to look online and see if anybody wants to comment on this wonderful mid-year budget adjustment modification.
Stephen, I might need to get you to unshare. I can't pull up the, oh wait, hold on.
Oh, yes,
No, I got it. Sorry.
Trying to do that right now. There you go.
If anyone in Zoom land would like to comment on this item, please raise your virtual hand. It's just Diana.
And while we're waiting for Diana to raise her hand, I would share, Mr. Mayor and Council, that the 2 requested items are deferred capital items. So we had a list of long-time deferred capital items, some of them 50 years, or in the case of some of our pipes, 160 years deferred capital items. And the ones that we thought might be achievable, we talked about in the budget formation. And these are the 2 that are left, the mini excavator, which would be a smaller version of a tractor for public works use, as well as the pool pumps and related things at the pool. Also on that list at the budget formation was replacement vehicles for your police department, but we did find a funding stream that should be sustainable in that regard, and you already authorized, and we've already acquired 2 new police vehicles. So.
Thank you.
Diana has raised her hand.
Oh, right. Hi, Diana.
Hi, everybody. Diana Gamzon here, speaking right now in my capacity as the Executive Director of the Nevada County Cannabis Alliance with an office right here on Broad Street. And I just wanted to let your council know that our organization is 100% aligned with the city in ensuring that our cannabis tax revenues stay strong, and that our local Nevada City-based cannabis industry stays strong. And so we look forward to working with your council on policy this upcoming year that can meet those goals and help ensure that we have a steady stream of revenue. I'm really proud of our local cannabis industry. One of our local businesses, Emerald Bay Extracts, located on New Mohawk, it will be featured on the tour of Nevada City in April that the Economic Resource Council hosts.
Good job.
And so thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Diana. All right, let's bring it to the table. Adam, you want to talk about budget stuff?
Now, you know me.
I know.
That all sounded like really good news. So I'm in favor of that, but also terrified that it all sounded like really good news. Gary?
Wait a minute, I answer to him, not you, I'm sorry.
I deferred my
I see.
to him.
Hey, Steve, I just want to compliment you on the report. I really appreciated getting the slides with the report. But I do a lot of different things. One of my most recent things was teaching a class on graphical representation of digital information and data. You had some great slides. The arrows are perfect, easy to read, real clear. The conclusions are right there. So nicely done. It's a great budget. We're in great shape. But I just really like the way you presented it. So thank you.
Here. Daniela.
Yeah, I second the slide deck. Thank you so much. That was helpful to condense a lot of information into digestible ways. Thank you. I was a little nervous. I was a little head shaky about the increase in cannabis tax revenue. I'm happy to hear Diana's enthusiasm and encouragement. And if you are hopeful and Diana's hopeful, then I will be hopeful as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Lou.
I don't want to get off topic, so let me know if this is, but where does our state of emergency funds fit into this?
So essentially, this is revenues as projected against budget and expenditures as projected against budget. The state of you're talking about our OES reimbursements from Snowmageddon for all intents and purposes, right? So we're about 80% of the way through. There's two major projects left to complete. One of them you approved tonight, which was patch paving related to the road damage. There's one more, it's the sewer trestle that spans the creek that is out to bid and will come to the council at the next meeting we anticipate to award. All of those we anticipate receiving a 75% reimbursement from Cal OES on. And for all intents and purposes, that money comes back to the city and goes back to the fund of origin. So where we pulled that money from to do that emergency work, that money goes back to it. And so we're made 75% whole. The balance is already accounted for in whatever account we're drawing it from, whether it's the general fund or some of that money came out of Measure S or Measure M funds because it was streets related or water wastewater related. But essentially, that's not a directly budgeted item. In other words, we didn't write into the budget, we'll get this much revenue out of FEMA OES reimbursements.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Lou. Yes, Steve, great job. I actually really enjoyed reading this, so that says a lot. And thank you for the easy presentation and all the work you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next item.
We have to move and do a resolution here, I think.
Oh, we do. I'm sorry. Okay. You want to?
Yes.
Okay, you can read it.
I was getting ready, and you were going to not let me do it. So I move that we approve resolution number 2023-07, modifying the fiscal year 2023 budget, revenue estimates, and appropriations.
I second.
There you go. First by Lou, by Gary, second by Adam, and we're going to get a roll call.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
Yes. And it passes 5-0. All right, moving on to item 17, conduct a public hearing in consideration of ordinance number 2023-02, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, State of California, amending Chapter 5.04 Business Licenses of Title V Business Taxes, Licenses, and Regulations of the City of Nevada City Municipal Code relating to adding a new business license type. Take it away, Sean.
Again, I get paid by the word.
I'll tell you.
So this is what I hope is a relatively small course correction. So when I started, among the things that we were looking at, it was making sure that we're getting everything, the city, the taxpayers are getting everything that they're entitled to as far as fees, and also making sure that we are providing equitable enforcement of all of our regulations. And so business licenses are among the things that have fees that are levied against our businesses, and we were, diving into those. And one of the things that we found, not surprisingly, happens in a lot of places, is that some sections of our businesses were not getting business licenses that needed to be, and one of them, a large group of them, were event vendors. So you heard from Lynn tonight about the chamber events. They have about 150 unique vendors that sell at any one of their events. The farmers market and the foundry also have significant vendor participation. And so when we're talking to them, we found one, that things had been different in the past, and two, that the cost of the license was higher than they would like. No one wants to pay fees, but when we dug into it, we found that in 2015, the city changed its business license fee structure from over 30 fees with a wide range of costs to just down to 2. And while that made it relatively easy to enforce, it means that these vendors, that some of them, only come to Victorian Christmas for 5 nights and actually don't make money, or barely break even, because it's a labor of love event. Some of them make a lot of money, which is good for them, but for these smaller ones that don't make a lot of money, that the minimum fee for us is $123 for the business license type. So what we looked at was something that could address this concern. And so the business committee took up this item, heard input from the chamber and from the farmers market, both. And what is before you this evening is the outcome of that. Essentially, this ordinance modification adds an additional business type, which is for event vendors. And it adds a different process. Normally, people just fill out an application, they come into the office, they pay their money, and we give them a business license. In this case, most of these event vendors are relatively transient, and their transaction is largely with the hosts of these events. And so that provides us an opportunity to enroll people on business licenses en masse. It also allows us to decrease the overall cost, because what will happen is the hosts have to already enroll these folks in their programs anyway, so they're collecting a whole bunch of information. So now they will collect the information we need for the business license. They will transmit that to us along with a check for the business license amount for these vendors, and we can enroll them in our business license program. So that will take the fee from $123 plus a $4 state fee to $20 plus a $4 state fee. Now, this only applies if they're doing event vending, no permanent location. Otherwise, they need a regular business license. And if a business in town wants to do event vending also, like some of our restaurants and our shops do, they don't need an additional event vendor business license. So pretty easy process. We anticipate that the farmers market, the foundry, and the chamber will be the only ones that do the hosting. But if for some reason somebody, is the popcorn vendor of choice for, backyard parties or something like that, and wants to come in, we believe that they could register with the chamber and be accessible to that $20, discounted rate, instead of having to get the $123 one, even if they weren't going to participate necessarily in an upcoming chamber event. So good opportunity to address a concern there, and then also allow us to just say, everyone has to have a business license. We make it very easy. Good opportunity for people to do that. And then really for Chief Foss's point, we don't have to be sending out police officers or code enforcement officers to shut down the farmer's market booth, right? We have a way to get them enrolled in the program. Most of these folks are already enrolled in our business fee waiver program for this year, so we don't anticipate seeing any real difference among this. Next year, we'll probably see a very small increase as a couple hundred vendors that haven't historically paid pay a $20 business license fee. So with that, we'd recommend that you conduct the public hearing, and then since it is an ordinance adoption, that you would conduct its first reading, waive full reading of the ordinance, read by title only after you close the public hearing would be our recommendation.
Thank you. Sean? If there's any public comment on this issue in the room, please let us know. There we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Daniel Jordan. I'm the Vice Chair of the Nevada City Farmers Market Board. Thank you for bringing this item before the council. Sean, thank you for working with us.
Thank you.
And the chamber, and thank you for the Business Strategic Committee. We already all met as well. So good to be back, and just on the behalf from an artist that started here in the city, for not knowing if I would ever make it or what I was creating would ever see the light of day. Having easy access to begin that process and give it a shot and take that chance matters a lot, and being part of the Nevada City Farmers Market, fostering new not only small farms, essential businesses in that way, but also other artists, and to take that chance to come to the market and make it happen. So by making this accessible to them, to even take that first shot and keep people coming up and keep the vibrance of our community going, because our farmers market costs $40 for a booth, and $127 fee to come give it a shot is not really on a scale. And plus a lot of the people that are in this category we don't have 365 shops, and we're not able to work as much. And the seasons in this city, things shut down for months and you don't even work at all. So I just thank you for bringing this before the committee and making Nevada City again an accessible place for up and coming artists to give it a shot. So thank you.
Thank you. And, I think this has been a wonderful way to get everybody back into the fold, and also to, make it public comment. Lynn, come on up.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what Paul said, that we were really grateful for you guys working with us on this, because it was definitely pretty daunting when we were first faced with a $120+ fee. Like you mentioned, our fees per day range from $25 to $100. So it's really, some vendors come for one day and others are at every event. And so we just are grateful for you guys for considering this, and just, to say that it's a great way that we support local artisans in our community and really support that local culture. And we have a lot of great vendors that we are happy to be able to support through the opportunities with events. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Lynn. Anybody else here? Anybody online?
Anyone on Zoom want to comment on this item? Raise your virtual hand.
Diana? She's not, oh, okay. No. All right, Daniela, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Sean, I think this is another great example of the city and the business committee just smartly problem solving in a community and vendor and business friendly way. And this is what I want across the board for Nevada City is problem solving like this, that makes people happy, that and I'm not even going to say a compromise, because it doesn't feel like a compromise. It feels like it just works, right? We don't need to make money off of this. And we do need to make sure that things and people and vendors are in compliance, right? That's been a big task of the council over the last year, is to get us back on track, or in some ways on track for the very first time with processes and that sort of thing. So yeah, just kudos to everyone who had a hand in this. It's just really smart problem solving. Thanks.
Thanks, Daniela. Lou?
This is one of the reasons why I'm happy to be part of this council, is that we do take a problem-solving and practical approach. There's nothing ideological about this. It just makes sense. And I'm glad to have been part of it.
Adam?
Yeah, being on the business council with Lou, this feels really great to actually get it to this point.
Yeah.
It's just a good thing.
Gary?
Yeah, Danielle, it's exactly good problem solving. Congratulations to the business committee for hearing this, figuring it out. I keep saying this, we're not a city you have to fight with. We can figure stuff out, and we do. And this is a really cool example. So good job, Sean, you Mr. Problem Solver there. But I know a lot of people worked on it, and the ability to bring everybody together and solve that problem is a thing in itself. So really nicely done for everyone. Just really good solution. So.
Hear, what everybody said, and just bringing everybody into the light with not making them pissed off at us is an amazing feat, I mean, I think so, and everybody's happy. I mean, they're happy to pay $20, and we're happy to have it, and that's how it works. So, I guess I'm looking for a motion.
I would like to add one thing, just strangely. So we're probably going to, the farmer's market, you approved tonight on the consent calendar their summer run, which will start in a couple months here. And we're probably going to do coffee with a cop, coffee with a council member, coffee with a city manager at some point at the farmer's market. And so we'll be paying for a booth. But what we're going to ask is that they take that money and put it to a new business or new artisans fund where they could give somebody an opportunity to, with our dollars, to come out and vend for a Saturday. And so, with our business license fee waiver and that, they could basically come out for a Saturday for free and see if it works for them.
That's awesome.
So coming to a farmer's market near you.
That's just icing on the cake. That's just icing on the cake. Oh, that's too good. All right. Could somebody want to take a stab at the ordinance? Reading it? Anybody?
I'd love to, but my page is still loading.
Sorry about that.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got it?
Mm-hmm. I would like to move the adoption by title of ordinance 2023-02. Is that the correct phrasing for it?
Yeah, and we'll read by title only and schedule the next meeting for second reading?
Okay.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Awesome.
I second that motion.
Then I can read it. It is ordinance number 2023-02, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, State of California, amending Chapter 5.04 Business Licenses of Title V, Business Taxes, Licenses, and Regulations of the City of Nevada City Municipal Code relating to adding a new business license type.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
I need to ask Dean a question. Dean?
Yes, sir.
Do I need to recuse myself because this has to do with the foundry? It's pretty tangential. I'm on the board. I'm on the board.
It's actually an ordinance that affects everyone within the city and not just that particular business, so you're fine.
Okay, then yes. All right, moving on to our last item. Consideration of a letter to support the proposed amended policy 5145.3, non-discrimination harassment of the Nevada Joint Union High School District Board of Trustees, presented by Gary.
Thank you. As part of the city's participation in the JEDI committee with the county and the local towns and cities, Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Committee, we heard presentations from the Superintendent of Schools for Nevada County and the Nevada Union Superintendent of Schools. And in that presentation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we learned that the Board of Trustees of the Nevada Union High School District was taking up the anti-discrimination ordinance that they had attempted to pass in the past year. And they were revisiting that with a significant change in the Board of Trustees. They thought it was time to bring it back. Certainly it was supported by the students. It's a remarkable piece of citizen democracy with the students working with their parents to get a Board of Trustees that would listen to them and understand what was actually happening and take action. So in hearing that presentation and and asked if there was a way to support it, and it was suggested that letters of support would be appropriate. I think given where we clearly stand as a council and as a city on inclusivity and diversity and equity, also understanding that the Nevada Union High School District has significant responsibility in educating the children who come from our community. And also, I think it's one of the things I heard one of the superintendents say that was so important. If you can't be safe in a school, how can you ever be expected to learn? So with all of that taken into consideration, I worked with our city manager, Sean, who wrote almost all that letter, and did a nice job of that, thank you, and made some adjustments.
Very nice job.
And we got that letter out, and I have to say that our mayor was so impressed with that letter, he kept complimenting me on it. And
Full credit to you, Councilman.
But I think this is really important, and I think this is absolutely in alignment with who we are as a council and a community, and something that we should sign this letter and send it along.
Thank you, Gary. Is there any public comment in the room? Not seeing any. Let's look online.
Anyone on Zoom wish to make a public comment on this item? Seeing none?
I'll bring it back to the table. Daniela.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly support this. Sean, thank you for writing this letter. It's well-written and definitely reflects the intentions of the city. I work with LGBTQIA youth every week as part of, who are part of the Nevada Joint Union High School District. And I'm currently doing a needs assessment on the needs of LGBTQIA plus students in the schools. And just coming up with some really interesting data on harassment and discrimination and feeling unsafe and unsupported, school that is missed because of that. And I think it's so important. Everybody deserves to feel safe at school. It's a baseline. We can't learn, if we don't feel safe. So I think this is the least the city can do to support these efforts. I'm happy to vote for this, yes.
Thank you, Daniela. Lou?
I am also going to be happy to vote for this. I think back on my own high school experience, which was somewhere in the middle of the previous century. And I would not even be able to talk about this issue at that time. And to hear that now, today, students are bringing this issue forward. Students are championing this, and not just the gay and lesbian students, but their straight allies as well. Mm-hmm. That just lifts my heart tremendously. Plus, I think this is really in line with our city. If you go out the City Hall, there's a plaque embedded in the concrete there from 1937 saying that this building is dedicated to liberty, justice, and tolerance. So we have a long history of supporting this in this city, and I'm going to be very happy to vote for this.
Thank you, Lou. That's very nice. Adam?
As a product of Nevada County Schools, right here. There we go. I had such a great time at Nevada Union, and in more recent years, I hear from kids who aren't having as great a time, and it breaks my heart because I just think, did you like it? I liked it. I had fun. But
I think there are factors that helped you have a better time than others.
Interesting. Well, we're going to break those down later. It breaks my heart to hear that other kids aren't maybe lately having as good a time, but it seems like there have been a lot of really great changes on the board, and kids are being listened to now, and I'm hopeful that the students there are going to really see this reflected in their daily lives at that school. Very excited about this. This is great news.
Thank you, Adam. Gary, do you want to say anything else?
No, I said everything.
Okay. I met with a guy who's now on a trustee, this guy, Jeffrey Nelson. It turns out we went to the same law school, and we met earlier on something, and he just got elected to this. And, I was talking to him, and he said the reason he ran was because of these issues. And he's a pretty impressive guy. But, I heard some of the, my kid goes to Seven Hills. There's some of these same issues going on at Seven Hills, let me tell you. My kid's right in the middle of it. And, I heard some of the stuff that went on at NU, and it was just horrific. It was just scary stuff. Stuff going on in the bathrooms, everything from racial and gender discrimination, sexual preference discrimination. It's really scary. And I think about this as an elected official, thinking about the kids of our town. And then I also think about it as a parent. My kid's going to go probably to NU. And, what's that experience going to be like? When I went to school, it was rough. My first school in 7th grade, they locked the doors and locked us in there because they bussed a bunch of kids in, and it was very violent, let's just say. And it was just a horrific place to be. You just feared for your life in a lot of cases. And so learning in that environment is not possible. I mean, I can tell you I didn't learn. And so just seeing that we can make a difference or help move the needle on some of this stuff, when people, the stuff that are being said to people in public it's just awful. I mean, I can't believe that people say that, but that's going on there. And, I'm just really glad that we're making some small gesture in that direction, and I'm sure there's more we can do. So I support this like everyone else, and I'm looking for a motion.
I move we approve the letter and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
There you go. Roll call.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Fleming.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go to city manager's report and council members' report and future agenda items.
Awesome. Well, I think it's snowing right now. It will definitely be worse tomorrow and the day after that. Our public works team is amazing, and I think we sent them all home early today to get some food and get some rest, because we'll be calling them in early to start plowing the roads. They have a great plan, but it goes in this sequential order of primary streets and secondary streets, and it takes a while for us to get out to everyone that we plow for. So everyone should be prepared for bad road conditions, potential power and internet disruption over the next couple of days. Hopefully nothing like Snowmageddon, but better to be prepared than not. It is going to, if we get the 20-something inches they're talking about over the next 30 hours, then it's going to make some great pictures in the
Good sledding.
Seven Hills and historic downtown. But I'd like to say hi to my team at home, which is my kids, Arabella, Amelie, Caden, Lennox, Maddox, and Valerian. I'd like to say hi to my wife at home. Tonight's our 26th anniversary. So having been a firefighter for almost all of our time together, we've actually missed more anniversaries than we've made. But I think we'll probably wait to celebrate. Maybe we'll wait till March 15th. That's when TJ's Roadhouse is opening at the Old Lefties. New businesses coming to town every day. So heard great things tonight from Lynn about the Chamber's events, but they also are doing great things with getting businesses here and trying to curate that really eclectic and wonderful mix of retail and restaurant offerings that we have here in town. And that is all I have for you this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Who would like to go? It's a free-for-all. Who's kept? Lou, you look ready.
I'll go. The Fire Safety Advisory Committee is moving forward with its vegetation ordinance. We will probably be ready with the final draft for your next meeting. So we're looking forward to that. And second, I was out walking with neighbors today, strolling along the Tribute Trail, looking at what trees will probably come down in this storm, but enjoying the sunshine just before it started snowing the first time this evening. And both of them spontaneously said what a wonderful job our crew, our Public Works crew, is doing in keeping the city safe and livable. They specifically pointed out Shane and said he deserves a commendation, and I agree with them.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Lou.
Sure, I'll go. Adam, Sean, and I met as the Vibrancy Committee. It's been some time ago. Did we already talk about this? We haven't met since then, right? No. Okay, good. We had a vibrant turnout of community members, mostly artists. And we invite anyone who might be listening or catch word who is an artist and wants to be in on our process. We have a date scheduled for our next meeting, Thursday, March 30th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. We hope to be looking at a draft public art ordinance, and we'll be looking for artist and community feedback as we begin that process. Then that's it.
Thank you, Danielle. That's exciting. Good,
It is
good
exciting,
work.
right?
Good work.
And I just want to note, since this is a sort of like update for other council members too, I can flesh that out a little bit more. Talking about how I think it's important to note that the ordinance will not be a blanket ordinance for the whole city of Nevada City. It will, of course, look different for historic downtown than it will Seven Hills District, as Seven Hills District is less limited by ordinance. There will be a process for both districts, but they will look different. So I just think that's important for anyone who, might be wringing their hands at home.
Thank you, Daniela. That's an important clarification, I think. Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, a couple of things. It has been a while, but the JEDI committee did meet, which I did reference in the previous item. Infrastructure committee met tonight. We heard a preview of the parking work that's going on. I think it's going to prove to be very important. I attended today the countywide recreation and resiliency steering committee meeting. Don Sidonis was on that meeting, as was Lynn from the chamber was on that meeting as well.
Who chairs that meeting?
So it's a consulting firm but Erica Seward is running it, but it's a real big mix of people in the county from all the recreation districts in the cities and the towns. It's really quite a diverse and eclectic group. And today, it was great. We worked on values, identifying the values on which we want to build plans, looking at the marriage of recreation and resiliency. So it was a very good plan. I'm happy to represent the council there and the city there. I think there's some really important work that's going to come out of this. And let's see. Lastly, I would like to congratulate my fellow council member Klein on ascending so rapidly in the parade hierarchy from an obscure American president in the Constitution Day parade to within months becoming the king of the Mardi Gras parade. So I'm impressed. I really am impressed. It's I know he's a special guy, but this is really something. So congratulations.
He will be running this town soon.
Who better to be the king of the Mardi Gras parade than a lifelong non-drinker? That's what.
Right.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
That was a profound honor.
It was great to see
I
you.
find myself with a lot of free time to say yes to when the Chamber of Commerce asked me to do things lately.
You look great.
I thought you made a deal. Okay, I'll MC your awards dinner, which, by the way, was also very nice.
It was, yeah,
very, very
that was
nice.
great.
I thought you made a
Sparky
deal
spoke.
that I'll MC the awards dinner if you make me king of the Mardi Gras parade.
Two separate things.
You sure of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's not true, Dean. He didn't do that.
I would have run it by you, Dean. You know this. Lou talked about fire safety advisory. Daniela talked about vibrancy. We talked about what the business committee's been up to. I want to thank my fellow council members and some folks from the Planning Commission and folks from the Fire Safety Advisory Committee for helping out with the green waste event we had up at the Rood Center. I want to thank the county for letting us use it, using their space. I want to thank Waste Management for loaning us those bins. That seemed very successful. We lucked out. We had the right number of people at the right time for the number of people who showed up. We lucked out in that way, and I want to thank everyone for being patient with us doing that. That felt really good, and it felt worthwhile. That's what I got. Everyone, stay dry, stay warm.
Thank you, Adam. you know, I just want to commend you for a great job. That was a well-organized, great event. I mean, that was your first, you know, public event. It was perfect. I mean, I don't think anything, I mean, you got the bins there when they needed to be, everybody was there, and a lot of the public came there. Yeah, the only person who was missing was, you know, our city manager.
The chief
Chief
showed
was
up.
there. Chief was a beast. He was in there.
Phenomenal.
He was in there.
I'm getting that dumpster.
Yeah, I almost had a heart attack in the whole process, I'll tell you. But that was wonderful, and I really,
thanks.
I'm serious about that. That was very impressive, thank you. One of the things I'd like to talk about as a possible future agenda item is looking at doing an analysis of a potential tax measure for fire and rec. You know, we've been, it's bounced around a little bit here, but I think it's time for us to look at our last cent and a quarter.
Off guard, did it, Dean?
Dean's eyebrows doing a lot of
They got singed. And I'd just like us to have that, be able to have that conversation here and start the process of an analysis of whether that makes sense for the city. What I'm talking about is, you know, the county, in their infinite wisdom, was, you know, trying to get a tax measure for fire prevention. You know, I'm digging deep into this fire world. I'm doing a lot of grants for fire departments for personnel and equipment. And, you know, there's a whole suppression side, but the prevention side is something that there's not a lot of funding for. And it's only grant funding usually. So, and there's matches and everything. All the things that were going on with Measure V, if we don't take this, you know, limited tax amount, I mean, limited amount of money we have to raise in our tax, sales tax, somebody else is going to take it. Like the county would probably go ahead and, you know, take another bite at the apple for Measure V down the road when it's a little bit more opportune. I think that we would reap more revenue ourselves if we did it with our own tax revenue. And I think it probably would have a good chance of passing here, just off the top of my head. I think some of the problem with Measure V was all the animosity against Measure W, and that kind of, I think in our jurisdiction, might have dragged it down. So I'd like to see some analysis of whether this makes sense for us, what kind of revenue it would generate, what kind of, you know, response we might get from our community, to see if it makes sense. It might not, but if it does, we could have a dedicated fund to go to fire prevention, you know, vegetation management, anything like that. We could leverage those funds into significantly more money with grants, et cetera, et cetera. You've heard all the issues for V. I think most of them ring true for us. So I hope that's something that we can agree upon and do some analysis of. Yep. Okay, good.
We both
You-
thought
Thank you for reminding me with the future agendas item, because it
Okay, you
slipped
got
my
one?
mind. I
Uh-oh.
do. I was talking to my colleague, Councilmember Cece and Sean, and it was brought to my attention that last year, we did a proclamation for June being Pride Month from here on out, and really, really feeling the importance of codifying that and doing a resolution. And so I would love before June to, with the support of the council, to make that a resolution. So it's a little more solidified.
Sure. I mean, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer. Anybody else have things that we want to talk about?
You sparked something on me.
I'm sparking everybody.
I read an article the other day that said in the entire state of California, 1 year in, SB 9, there's been actually 521 SB 9 applications
No.
in the state of California.
That's because that's not smart problem solving.
And 200 of them are in Marin County. So.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Wow. Well, that's a really good fact. That's a really interesting fact. I don't think, do we know, Amy, if there have been any other SB 9 applications here? We had 2.
We've had 2 lot split applications.
Lot
no-
split.
No development applications.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
It was,
that's good.
but it's still, they made the point very clearly in this article, it's only a year, and something like this, you you've done your time bureaucratically, it takes a long time before people figure these things out.
Well, what it works its way through the court system, that's really what's going to do it.
Well, until you get these permits, and then somebody has to start the court issues. and
The
suits.
sue, yeah. So any other fun conversations? I like this part. I mean, this is good. We need to do this more.
I move that we adjourn.
Yeah, there you go.
Conversation.
Apparently not that much more.
Please, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. Do we have, don't go, don't go too much farther down the road. Do we have a motion and all that?
Danielle, a motion?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hey, good job, everyone. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Amy.
Dan.